Hiya, my name's Charlie and welcome to my channel, and today's video is about me reacting to a article that I found on Good Housekeeping called the 40 best new books of 2022 so far that you won't be able to put down. So this idea came about, well, as usual, as all bookworms happen, when I was googling like new releases, etc., and I saw this article. And I often seen Eric Carl Anderson, who reacts to like articles of book lists that he sees, and I love a good book list, which is obviously why I love watching those videos. So I thought I would click on this article and react to see if I know many of these, and and sort of react to the article. So hopefully I will know a few of these, but yeah, we'll see. I've clicked on it, I've put it all open on my thing. I'm going to try and scroll down. Number one on their list is Fiona and Jane by Jean Ten Ho, and this is about female friendship, I believe. I've got the cover. So yeah, I feel like, is this like interconnecting short stories or something, or am I being completely stupid? Like, yeah, I feel like I heard about that. It says, I'll read you what it says here. It says, Fiona and Jane are best friends, navigating their tumultuous teenage years together, as well as their family histories and all that comes with them. But when Fiona moves across the country, their bond weakens and threatens to break. This novel is about the power of female friendship. Yes, will give you the power of female friendship will give you a gorgeous peek into both women's perspectives and on a shared story that has many facets as they do. So yeah, that's that one. Number two, this is one I've heard of as well. So at least I know two, that's good. Anyway, The School for Good Mothers by Jessamine Chen. This was one I thought was going to be on the Women's Prize long list, but it wasn't, because lots of people had predicted this one for the long list. The premise, it says, Frida's daughter, Harriet, is everything to her, but when she makes a terrible one-time mistake, the state decides that she has to prove her ability to be a good mother in order to remain one at all. The scarily prescient novel that is reminiscent of Orwell's and Vonnegut's explores the depths of parents' love, how strictly we judge mothers and each other, and the terrifying potential of government overreach. So this is one I want to potentially buddy read with Gemma from Gemma Books at the end of the year. I think we've said that depending on how busy we are both with our reading, that's when we're going to read together. So yeah, if you want to join in with our reading later on in the year, let us know in the comments below. So yeah, that's another one I've heard of. Oh, this is one I have not heard of, but it looks really good. The cover is beautiful. 30 Things I Love About Myself by Radhika Sanghani, I think. It says, newly single, so this looks like kind of a women's contemporary fiction from the cover based upon what I can see. Newly single freelance writer Nina isn't exactly flourishing, especially after she has to move back in with her depressed brother and her overbearing mother. But when she finds herself reading a self-help book in jail on her 30th birthday, brackets long story, she embarks on a journey towards self-love, learning lessons most of us could stand to hear too. So yeah. That actually sounds quite good. I'd be interested in that one. That looks like a good one. This is another one I haven't heard of. So we've got 50% I have heard of, 50% I haven't heard of, foreign. Then it says, Shit, Cassandra Saw Stories by Gwen E.Kirby. So it's obviously, is it short stories, obviously? Just because Cassandra can see the future doesn't mean she's sharing what she finds there. In this wildly innovative collection of stories, Kirby explores the power of femininity in its many forms, including as a brazen witches, virgins who can't be sacrificed, and even cockroaches, I don't like anything with bugs, FYI, who catcallers fear. It's laugh out loud funny, sometimes brightfully painful, thought-provoking, and completely original. It does sound intriguing, but the bit about the cockroaches has put me right off. I cannot stomach anything with bugs. In the bit, One Sky Day by Leonie Ross, has quite a lot to do with butterflies and moths and them consuming the butterflies, and anything like that I really have a massive phobia over. So yeah, I don't know why I'm laughing at it, but yeah, it's true. I have a massive phobia of like bugs and things like that, so I don't want to be reading that one. Sorry, that one's a no from me, even though I'm sure lots of you will probably find that one sounding good. Right, number 5 is the one I haven't heard of again. I'm guessing loads of these I'm not going to have heard of. How High We Go in the Dark by Sequoia Nagamatsu. Right, I don't know. It's on the screen. It says, When an archaeologist witnesses an unleashing of long-buried plague in it changes the course of history. This hauntingly beautiful story focuses on how the human spirit perseveres through it all. With everything from a cosmic search for home to a theme park for terminally ill kids and a talking pig. It's a lyrical adventure that feels fantastical yet familiar. I am not so sure about that one. It depends on how well it's done. It sounds a little bit, I don't like the use of using terminally ill kids. It sounds a little bit problematic to my brain, but obviously that's just my initial impression of it. Maybe I'm completely wrong and it's done subtly and brilliantly. Who knows? Right. The next one is number 6 is Notes on an Execution by Danya Kutakka. Serial killer Ansel Packer is going to die for his crimes in 12 hours. But this one, sorry. So this is like a crime book, I'm guessing. No, so yeah, that's that one. I don't think I'm going to give you the premises for all of these because it take too long. I just realised. Number 7, Good Rich People by Eliza Jane Brazier. It says the rich lives differently. I say, and I'm reading it. The rich live differently than the rest of us, and there's never more evident than this chilling account of one family that packs a sick and twisted game with their tenants. When one interloper herself decides that she's not just a pawn, nobody wins. Or do they? Okay. I don't know. Probably not one for me. 8 is Devil House by John Darnielle. Darnielle, yes. It says it's fans of true crime. It says about police procedurals. So, yeah. I'm not even going to look at this one. This one does not look for me, I don't think, based upon the cover art. It does not intrigue me. So I'll click on the ones and read the ones that intrigue me. If you want to know, obviously I'll keep all the list of the titles in the description box. But not really. This one is number 9, Don't Say We Didn't Warn You by Ariel Delgado Dixon. Delgado Dixon. Well, it says about 2 sisters. It says 2 sisters' paths repeatedly diverge and intersect through a story about trauma and reckoning with it. Through life, an abandoned warehouse outside New York City, stints a wilderness rehabilitation centre, and a scrabble to find the footing as young adults, this sharp and unsettling story of 2 girls' ongoing search for their own place in the world and how the history shapes who they become. So yeah, actually that one sounds interesting. The cover I don't think does this book justice. Is that just me? What do you think? Number 10 is none I haven't heard of. Very Cold People by Sarah Manguso. It says Midwesterners, New England, anyone from a small town of America. It says it's a quiet novel, beautiful novel about growing up as an outsider. Looks alright. Probably one I wouldn't pick up. 11 is Where I Can't Follow by Ashley Blooms. It says in a little mountain town hit hard by poverty and the opioid epidemic, there's a chance of escape. Magical doors appear, and some people appear to some as a way out, but once they step through, there's no turning back. This fantastically really absorbing novel explores what it would feel like to have an escape hatch from the hardships of life and the agonising decision whether to leave everyone you love behind. That actually sounds quite good. 12, The Last Suspicious Holdout by Ladee, Hubbard. It says, that's not one I've heard. Oh, is it story? It says stories. So collection of short stories. Yeah. From the author of Rib King comes a collection of stories by the black residents, about the black residents of a southern suburb in the years between the beginning of the Clinton administration and Obama's election. It's about racism, the war on drugs, class and struggle, but at its heart, it's a portrait of community. While it doesn't flinch away from the hard truth, it's also filled with love and a steely kind of hope. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh, it's one I recognise now. Number 13 is When We Were Birds by Ayanna Lloyd Banwo. This is one I just talked about in my recent video. It's sort of a romance kind of book about, and it's got magical realism by Caribbean authors. Today, as you watch this, no, it's not as you watch this, but as I'm filming this is the start of my day 1 of Caribathon. So yeah, that's that. I'm excited for this book. I've already spoke about this in my last video, so if you want to find out about the premise of that, watch my last TBR video for the month. Yeah, I'm excited for this book. I'm going to hopefully read that next, either that or the Greek book. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, next one is Disorientation. Ingrid has hit a wall on her PhD research on poet Zhao Wen Chao. When she comes across something that suggests he may not have been who he seems. Before she knows it, Ingrid has blown open a scandal that threatens her relationships with her fiancé, her best friend, her academic department, and even her own self-knowledge. This fresh and hilarious and thoughtful satire that will make you think about cultural identity in a whole new way. That actually sounds quite interesting. This is another one I've heard of. Oh, scratch my face. 15, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. This is sci-fi. You will all know the premise of that mostly, I'm sure, so I'm not going to talk about that one. The Candy House by Jennifer Egan. This is one actually that intrigues me and I've seen, but I don't really, it's like when you see a book but you don't actually know too much about it. It's that, like, I feel like I've heard it loads about it without knowing what it is, the premise of it. Anyway, it says, you don't have to read A Visit from the Goon Squad to love this sibling novel to Egan's stellar hit. So it's a sibling novel, okay, second novel. The revolutionary technology of your own consciousness allows the user to store access to their memories and other people's. Through complex and intimate intertwining narratives, it follows a cast of characters experiences with Bhutan's creation and how consequences echo through the decades. There you go, right, echo. This is one I do want to, like I said. End of the World, this is one I haven't heard of. End of the World House, a novel by Adrian Selt. The cover, yeah, looks very beautiful and colourful. What do you get when you take Groundhog Day, add a dash of apocalypse, a little French obsession, and a mix of female friendship with a romantic entanglement? This firecracker of a book gets weirder and bizarrely funny the more pages you turn. That actually does sound good. Ooh, right. This next, number 18. Nobody Gets Out Alive Stories by Lee Newman. So another short stories. So, it says, the Alaskan wilderness, this does another one that sounds good, sorry. The Alaskan wilderness is unforgiving, and so is the life of people who live there. In this arresting collection of stories, we meet many people who are fighting not only the snowy tundra, but addiction, heartbreak, complicated families, and the demons so many of us carry with us, regardless of when or where we live. That does sound good. Right. When We Fall Apart by Soon Wiley. Looks like it tackles some heavy topics. Immediately I see the word suicide jump out of the page. Min can't believe his Korean girlfriend, Eugene, died by suicide right before graduation, and he embarks on a quest to uncover the truth. So, it says, he learns more about Yinjin's life as the daughter of a high-ranking government official, the true nature of her bond with her roommate, Sura, and his own biracial identity. This compelling, propulsive novel is complex as the characters it follows. So, yeah. Oh, it's one I got. This is one I own. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Kweki Mezi. It's a romance book. And again, one I talked about in my previous video. I'm hoping to read this month. I love Mezi's work. Loads of people will be talking about this. So yeah, this is one I don't really feel like saying the premise for, because you'll find that from my previous video or lots of other people's videos. Right, the next one is Trust by Hernan Diaz. This isn't one that massively appeals to me, so I'm not even going to read the premise of this. It kind of looks sci-fi, but maybe I'm judging wrongly, but masterpiece book within a book. This is Wall Street Tycoon. Yeah, no from me, sorry. Oh, this is one I saw. This is one I've seen recently. Oh, I can't remember your channel name. I'm so sorry. I love your channel, honestly, so much. And she's like the sweetest person, so I'll put links to you on my screen. But yeah, it's This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. And yeah, this is one I saw, so yeah. It says, dig out your old band tees and crack open this charming family saga about a woman who's celebrating her 40th birthday. We're all turning, it's all about the 40th, isn't it, this year? When suddenly she wakes up on the morning of her 16th. Ooh, her ailing father is alive and well, and she gets to spend just one more day with him. Unlike other time travel stories, this one's not about figuring out how to get back to the present, but how to appreciate when you do. Oh, that sounds like it's a bit of a gut punch one. Yes, it sounds really good. Definitely one I'd add to my list. This is one, Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pat. It says it's a novel about friendship. I'm going to just scroll over this one because it's not one that... It does look beautiful, but yeah. This one is called, the next one is The Latecomer by Jean Hanf Korelitz. I'm so sorry. It says it's a slow burn story about family and also about IVF. So yeah, it says it's a slow burn. Should I just read it? The slow burn, but this complex layered story of Oppenheimer family is worth hanging on through every torturous turn. The triplets are desperate to escape each other's orbit, almost from the moment they are born via IVF. Even as their mum tries desperately to create the family that she's always dreamed of, when the fourth of her frozen embryos is born, and at last attempts years later, the wheels really start coming off. It's twisted, borderline, depraved family-like story like no other. I'm going to delete this because this isn't one I'm interested in. This is not one I'm interested in, sorry. Oh, it's a Shipstead, it's a Shipstead. You Have a Friend in 10A, stories by Maggie Shipstead. This is Maggie Shipstead's most recent release, and it's a collection of her short stories, and it's one I'm desperate to get to. I'm so excited. For those of you who don't know, Maggie Shipstead is the author of Great Circle. I'm sure you all do know. I'm so excited for that one. I don't know why I haven't even bought it right now, but I'm trying to be good with it. Right, the next one is The Hacienda by Isabel Canas. It says it's a don't be put off by, pro tip, don't read this gothic horror right before bedtime. Oh, it's going to be a creepy one. So it's for those of you that love creepy books, especially when you're prone to nightmares. When Beatrice arrives in Hacienda San Isidro, she hopes it will be her salvation, but almost right away, strange and terrifying things happenings reveal that there's something very wrong at home. Her husband away, she relies on a young priest, Padre Andres, to help her, but he's no ordinary priest, and this is nothing that a little holy water will fix. Ooh, spooky. I'm getting there. 27, Jamelia Green Ruins Everything by Zarka Nawaz. It's a memoir. It's just Jamil wants to know. It's not a memoir. It says Jamil wants to see her memoir on the best-selling list, but when she asks her imam for help, it sets off a chain of events involve tangling with a terrorist organisation called DICK. I rolled for that thing. And rescue operation in Syria. This black comedy takes aim at Americans' foreign policy in the Middle East and in a hilarious, inventive way. Well, actually, that sounds quite good. Right, to the next one. I can see people walking past my window. Lavonia, a novel by Atesha Mosfet. I'm not going to read this because this is not one I'm interested in. I tried to read, maybe I'm being harsh, but you know, I tried to read one of her Atesha Mosfet's previous books. I just could not get, I think it was a short story collection I was going to try and buddy read with Charlie, and I just couldn't get into it. So it was just, so I'm not going to look into that one. It's not for me. If you want to look it up, go ahead. But no, that's not for me. 29, Counterfeit, a novel by Kirsten Chen. It sounds like it's, I'll just read it. Ava Wong has played by the roles, but that's all that's gotten her is a dusty law degree, an unsatisfying marriage, and a toddler whose tantrums are seriously out of control. When former colleague roommate Winnie Fang recruits Ava to help her counterfeit handbags from her native China, she's drawn into schemes that's larger than life. But once Winnie disappears, Ava is quite literally left holding the bag. This one's flashy, but this one's as flashy as a designer store window, and it's just as enticing. Ooh. Thrust, a novel by Lydia Yaknavich. That sounds a bit saucy, but it's got a picture of a turtle in the front. So, is this environmental? Is it speculative? What is it? With prescient themes like climate change, with prescient themes like climate change, government surveillance, and the power of connection, Yaknavich's latest is a tour de force that spans centuries and continents. It's not quite historical fiction, not quite speculative, not quite dystopian, and somehow all of the above and more. Ooh, does intrigue me a bit. 31, we're getting there now. On Rotation, a novel by Charlene Obi. In this charming rom-com, it's a rom-com, yay! Another rom-com. In this charming rom-com, med student Angie is a child of Ghanaian immigrants with sky-high standards. She's obviously a doctor, so maybe meets somebody. Romance, don't think that needs too much explanation. Maps of Our Spectacular Bodies by Maddie Mortimer. This is about health, I think. As Leah confronts a devastating diagnosis, secrets from her past begin to infect her present, just as an illness overtakes her body. As its voice grows stronger and stronger, Leah and her family have to take their own battles to fight it in its wake. This is a touching, eye-opening perspective on life and illness you'll never read before. So yeah, not that many books I've read. I need to read more books on chronic illness because, mind you, they're very hard-hitting and they're not always easy, but yeah, definitely interesting. The Haunting of Hijar Hotak and Other Stories by Jamil Jan Koche. It says, yes, this is from an it's an Afghan writer. Oh, this is a July release, so it's not even out yet. Well, it might be out now when you watch this. In these luminous stories, Afghan characters, both in homeland and in the diaspora, grapple with their heritage and scars war has left on their bodies, minds, and families. Whether or not you're a gamer, you'll never look at this videos games in the same way again. Ooh. So yeah, Fire Season by Lena Crow. Oh, this is about a fire that. So it's really about a fire that happens when a fire tears through Spokane in 1889. Shysters and opportunists rise from the ashes. One of these, a banker, Barton Haydale, who sees the shaking down in his fellow citizens as renewed reason to live. That and sheltering the prostitute Rosalind, who he's fallen madly in love with. But when the fire investigator Quake Autumn Boucher comes to town, he and Rosalind fall for one another. This story is darkly funny, delicious, devious, and hugely inventive, a magical twist on the allure of American West and those who go there to seek their fortune. Human Blues by Alyssa Albert. This cover looks beautiful, just I'll say. Yeah, and it says, provocative, fast-paced and darkly funny, this irreverent novel follows controversial folk singer Aviva Rosner through her shocking album released to the mixed reviews, international tours and fertility struggles, as she tries to reconcile with her own longing for a baby with the distrust of the technological intervention. It's energised read for anyone who's been told, oh, you're just on your period, albeit a challenging one. Oh, that sounds quite relatable. Oh, this looks like a contemporary fiction. Mika in Real Life, a novel by Emiko Jean. Yeah, it says, when Mika gets a call from Penny, the daughter she's placed for adoption 16 years ago, she tells a few lies just to impress her. When Penny visits Mika constructs an elaborate ruse to uphold her story. When it all comes crashing down, mother and daughter have to rebuild their faith in each other. It's a beautiful tale of love, trust and forgiveness. Yeah, that sounds quite good. Only got a couple more left now. Stories from the Tenants of Downstairs by Sadiq Fofana. Is that right? Gentrification looms large for the residents of Banika Homes, a Harlem high-rise where the threat of eviction looms. You'll find yourself chuckling, tearing up and shaking your head along with the vivid painted characters in the stunning interwoven stories. Well, that sounds good. Like interwoven stories, interconnecting short stories. Whew, 2 more to go. The Last Housewife, a novel by Ashley Winstead. The cover looks a bit meh on this one. I'm not that impressed by this cover, I'm going to be honest. While attending a progressive upstate New York college, Shay and her 2 best friends fall under the spell of a man who said they would teach him the ways of the world. That is, until it all goes wrong. Years later, Shay teams up with a childhood friend turned crime podcaster to uncover a ring of depraved predators that goes deeper and higher than anyone knew. I barely breathed through this most horrifying, engrossing story, so consider yourself warned. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know how I feel about that. On the Rooftop, a novel by Margaret Wilker Sexton. Is she a poet? Am I being stupid? I've heard of her before. I feel like I've heard of her work before. This is a novel about change on the stages, large and small, figurative and literal. It explores the tensions between mothers and expectations and her daughter's dreams for themselves against the backdrop of gentrifying San Francisco. It will get inside your heart, break it wide open and stay there for a long time. Besides the music that runs along their lives, that is basically a character of its own. And lastly, but not leastly, this is the new Ling Ma. So I haven't actually read any Ling Ma, but it is on my list to read this year because I want to read Severance by Ling Ma as part of my YouTubers' favourite things. But yeah, this is Bliss Montage Stories by Ling Ma. So this short story collection. I'm sure loads of you would have heard about this. I've heard like Matthew Shrapper talking about it. There's quite a few other YouTubers talking about it, but the cover's beautiful. It's very striking with the oranges, and definitely one I would be interested in reading. But yeah, So thank you. Is there any of these that you're interested in? Have you got, what are your most anticipated releases? Let me know in the comments below. There's quite a few good ones on there, and actually quite a few that I had heard of, even though majority probably I haven't. But yeah, so yeah, anyway, sending you guys lots of love. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.